Here with more insight on today's testimony is Court TV's Julia Janae again for us. Julia, what could the defense's strategy be behind having the shooter's mother take the stand?
Brian, a defendant is never required to take the stand. They have a protected right against incriminating themselves when they get on the stand, and a jury would be instructed to not take into account the fact that they didn't take the stand, not to hold it against them. So that choice is an important one. The strategy could likely be that they think there is a lot of evidence that the prosecution has that would prove the case against her unless she could take the stand to explain it or to add more context to some of the things that are troubling.
Okay, Julie, so could testifying backfire on her?
Testifying could always backfire when we get to that cross-examination. The prosecution is going to be able to ask questions that Jennifer Crumbley may not be expecting. She doesn't have necessarily this criminal history that would make things even more problematic under cross-examination. She's already admitted to the affair with the fire captain. So there's not a lot of gotchas because the prosecution has already put up a mountain of bad evidence against her. They've used her text messages and her words against her already without her taking the stand, but it will be interesting to see if the prosecution is able to really ruffle her feathers on the stand, which could work against her and backfire.
And talking about that mountain of evidence, there was a lot of back and forth over the shooter's journal entries. What impact do you think they could have on this trial?
Those journal entries are resounding evidence for the prosecution, a huge hurdle for the defense. Essentially, we are hearing Jennifer Crumbley's son saying in his journal that he was wanting help. He was reaching out for help. No one would give him the help that he needed, that his parents weren't helping him get the mental health help that he wanted. And so with him not taking the stand and not being there to explain away any of that, or even to say that though I put it in my journal, I didn't tell my parents that, or they weren't aware really of what was going on with me, then it stands for this jury, and it stands to show that this was a mother who was ignoring the signs that were continuing to build up with regards to her son, someone that they had purchased a firearm for. And that's the entire prosecution case, that they should have known even more than the school that he had access to a weapon and he was dealing with just a disturbed state.
All right, prosecution has rested. The defense, it's their turn now. We'll see how many witnesses come forward for them and how this all plays out. Julia Janae, Court TV, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.